WHGE 95.3 FM. Coming up, the Open Eye.
Why is it so low?
What do you? I noticed that the other day on the radio. Loud in my car. No, it's kind of low.
Go out there, girl. Yeah, that's low. All right, hey, Sherry, I see you, sister. All right. That's right.
Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego diddling. We do so because the chains of oppression in people's minds are deep and difficult to remove. Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. I'm your host, Third Eye Optometrist, Patrice Gibbs. Sorry I'm a little late. I had a special reason for that today. I was getting a lot of calls this morning. Couldn't even get dressed. It's my birthday. That's right. That's right. Yes, indeed. I'm 64 years young, but I'm still here. Buddy, let me get them started. Get my disclaimer out the way, y'all. Where is it? Where is it? Damn. All right, I got you. Don't worry. Okay. All right, there it is. Get that out the way. All right. The views and opinions expressed on Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM, nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual. All right. Here to get your eye open this morning. Yes, indeed. Okay, and as we always say, as we always start off, every generation has its purpose. Ours is to reveal the truth and reverse the brainwashing. All right, I'm going to go to a little here on that thing about my birthday. Yes. Okay. All right. That's our station manager, Mr. Carey. Having fun, giving me a hard time, but that's okay. Thank you, Sherry. All right, we're baby boomers. I'm a baby boomer. Last of the baby boomers, I was born 1961. Baby boomers were born in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. We grew up in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. We studied in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We were dating in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Anyway, we got married and discovered the world in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We ventured into the 80s and 90s. We stabilized in the 2000s. Some of us got wiser in the 2010s, some of us. And we are going firmly through and beyond 2020. It turns out we've lived through 8 different decades, 2 different centuries, and 2 different millennia. We have gone from the telephone with an operator for long distance calls. Remember that? Remember long distance? You either had to call, collect, or stand there with a bunch of quarters and pump quarters. All right? We went from that to video calls to anywhere in the world. That's right. We have gone from slides to YouTube, from vinyl records to online music, from handwritten letters to email and WhatsApp. You know what? My 64-year-old ass still don't know what WhatsApp is. I ain't had it. I ain't downloaded. I don't know what it is. I ain't worried about it. We went from live matches on the radio. I remember when Ali fought Frazier the first time. We listened to it on the radio. We went from that to black and white TV to color TV, and then to 3D HD TV. We went to the video store, and now we watch Netflix. I cancel my Netflix service. I don't watch that crap. We got to know the first computers, punch cards. I remember those. Floppy disk, and now we have gigabytes and megabytes on our smartphones. You know that my phone has more power than the first PC I bought. We wore shorts throughout our childhood, and then long trousers, Oxfords, flares, shell suits, and blue jeans. Then we dressed crazy in the 70s. Jeez Louise. We dodged infantile paralysis, meningitis, polio, tuberculosis, swine flu, and now COVID-19. We rode skates, tricycles, bicycles, mopeds, petrol or diesel cars, and now we drive hybrids or electric. Yes, we've been through a lot, but what a great life we've had, huh? They could describe us as exennials, whatever the hell that is. People were born in that world of the 50s who had an analog childhood and a digital adulthood. We've kind of seen it all, you know. Hey, down there, I see you, sister. Our generation has literally lived through and witnessed more than any other in every dimension of life. It is our generation that has literally adapted to change. Yeah, indeed. Yeah, you're right, Sister Sherry. Bell bottoms and platform shoes. I had a pair of platform shoes. I wore them twice. The second time I almost broke my ankle. That was the end and up. So give us a big round of applause for all the members of a very special generation, which is quite unique. And that's me. All right. We're going to keep it moving. All right. He tell you something. Thank you, Moti. And let me tell you something. They fear us. They fear you. They fear you being awake. They fear you're waking up others. They fear you being armed. They fear you speaking up and speaking out and standing up. They fear you resisting and rebelling and revolting. They fear you not complying. They fear you banding together. They fear you standing together. They fear you coordinating. They fear you learning. You are the majority. We are the global majority. They fear you realizing your power. And they fear you using your power. They fear you. All right. WHGE 95.3 FM, the open eye. Moving right along. Let's get something going here. Here we go. All right. Excuse me, y'all. WHGE 95.3 FM. All right. Hey, Steve, I see you, bro. Thank you for the birthday wishes. All right. Moving right along. WHGE 95.3 FM. I got to get on some people's case. All right. And I'm going to quote someone. I'm not going to name who I'm quoting, but I think he had a great point here. And it's for these people that don't want to be African. Mm-hmm. Native Americans have a large, this is a quote, have a large literature. They have libraries full of literature on their culture, spirituality, sociology, way of life. Native Americans left a record of their civilization you can read and study. Native American civilization, and you can study the Native American civilization. The American in Africa, the African in America, the Afro-American, or whatever you want to call him, although it was illegal for us to learn, how to read, we left a vast literature of our experience in America. You can read our own words from the 17th century. You can read our own words from the 18th century. You can read our own words from the 19th century. You can read our own words from the 20th century. We have a vast, vast catalog of literature. So let me say this to the pretendians who don't want to be African. Yes, y'all were here before we got here. You were here before Columbus. Yes, there were people here, black people here before Columbus. I absolutely agree with that. What I disagree with is when you say you didn't come from Africa. So please produce the literature of the pretendian nation. Show me the authentic literature of the pretendian people where they say they did not come from Africa. Where's that literature? Can I see this large repository of pretendian literature that says they didn't come from Africa? Ain't nobody showed me that yet. I ain't seen a piece of literature from a pretendian yet, or any original manuscript from ancient America where black people claim they didn't come from Africa. Where's the pretendian literature? Where is it? And let me tell you something about the Africans here in early America. They had no problem claiming Africa. Why do you think most of the churches, let me get this some of that. Why do you think most of the churches had Africa in their name? The First African Union Methodist Church, the First African Episcopal Church, the African Methodist Protestant Church. Any institutions that we have, we put that tag on them to let you know we're from Africa. You know, it's something, I mentioned a lot of churches and what have you. And I can see now that a lot of our people, a lot of young people are moving away from the church. Okay? And you really don't have to wonder why. Let me tell you something. The transformation of Jesus from a humble servant of the poor and downtrodden into a mascot for gun rights, the prosperity gospel, we don't deal with that, anti-science and religious power, all wrapped in a flag of fierce nationalism, is without question one of the strangest and most tragic rebrands ever. Its heresy is only surpassed by its blasphemy. All right. Had a black man ask me, why am I not a Christian in 2025? Oh, yeah. Oh, well, you know what a lot of our people said from the 60s on? There's a white man's religion. And then somebody respond, oh, don't lose out on salvation. Don't lose out on Christianity isn't a Western religion. Remember, the first Bible is in Ethiopia. That's a lie. The Ethiopian king learned it from the Greeks, and the Greeks had the Codex Sinaiticus, which is the oldest first original Bible, written in Greek and Aramaic. It was not written in the Kemetic language. And you got to think, the African spiritual practices in the 18th and 19th centuries were associated with slave revolts. Enslaved Africans believed that the practices gave them spiritual protection. The colonialists enacted a series of laws over the years preventing traditional worship. Christian missionaries even went further by declaring all aspects of these traditions as the work of the devil. And some of our people believe that venerating our ancestors is the work of the devil. Jeez Louise, get the hell out of here. See, this is how you get things like this, right? What I'm going to tell you about now. And I'm sure by now you all have heard of Marvin Sapp, gospel singer. Oh, yeah. Oh, Marvin Sapp is back. And you'd probably be disappointed to know it's not because of his gospel music. This time the singer is doubling down on recent actions after many online were giving him a massive side eye. Well, was he getting a massive side eye? Well, Sapp came under fire over a clip of him talking to a crowd of about 2,000 churchgoers that went viral. And what he did was, he told the ushers to lock the doors until they collected $40,000. How many of you have been to church and been kidnapped? Because that's what that is. They're going to lock you in and not let you out until they come up with $40,000. I had a similar experience back in the 90s, happened a while ago. My girl at the time had some affiliation with this church, and she wanted me to go to this Wednesday night service. And I went to the service. That's right, Sherry, hostages. I went to the service, and they had the collection. Okay, I was respectful. I put a couple of dollars in. And then the collection plate went up front. And Deacon Pig Feet and Reverend Chicken Wing counted the money and decided it wasn't enough and they needed to have another collection. I ain't put no more money in. Then the collection place got back up front and it still wasn't enough. And when Reverend Chicken Wing got up and said, told the ushers to lock the door. Told the ushers to lock the door. Thank you, Brother Jakeem. And that's when stuff almost went south with me. Because I told my girl, that's it, let's go. We out of here. I'd be damned if they're going to hold me hostage for my money. They already took up collection for the speaker, collection for the church, for the choir roll, for the other thing. Oh, the hell with that. I get damn what Reverend Chicken Wing and Deacon Pigfoot said. So we went, the door was in the back. So we went back there and usher with his moist ass told me, Pastor don't want nobody leaving the church while we doing a collection. And I told him, I don't give a damn what Reverend Chicken Wing don't want. Open that door, unlock that door. Well, I'm not going to be able to do that. Okay, you get ready to need the cops. You ever seen Daffy Duck Freak? That's what you get ready to see if you don't open that goddamn door. Oh yeah, everybody turned around and looked because I was real vocal about you're not going to hold me hostage for my money. The hell kind of religion y'all running up here? It's a hustle. It's a hustle. It ain't about tithing. Ain't nothing but a hustle for Reverend Chickenfoot to put the money in his pocket. And then I see Deacon Pigfoot at the bank Monday morning with an armed guard. How much money y'all getting? The hell? What? You know what? It's from Sister Toya, called herself Prosperous Living with Sister Toya. She said, when I say I don't believe in your sky daddy, that means you can't scare me with that. That means I'm not scared of Satan. I'm not scared of hell. I'm not scared of eternal damnation. I'm not scared of fire. You are, and the only reason why you're scared and you've been manipulated and lied to is for your 10%. It's for your money. Do you think you could buy your way up out of hell? You think you can buy your way up out of heaven? Or when you buy your way into heaven, you think you're going to pay your way out of hell and pay your way into heaven when neither exists? That's right, brother. Pulpit pimps. They're all states of consciousness. But when I tell you that, I don't believe in it. I don't believe that means that you told me about right. Like a fire of hell, eternal damnation, a judgment at the end of this life. When I tell you I don't believe in it, that's exactly what I mean. That means you can't scare me with that. I'm not up in arms about, oh my goodness, what's going to happen after I die? You don't even really care about what it is going to happen to you after you die. You don't even really believe it because some of y'all don't know exact things that you're told. That you're told not to do by your pastors and your ministers and your bishops and all these people you give authority over your life. Most of you don't even know what the scriptures say or what it really means. But yet, you still want to try to manipulate others and use fear-mongering tactics over others when they tell you they don't believe it. If I don't believe in your sky daddy, I could care less what your sky daddy is going to do to me because he can do nothing to me because he doesn't exist. He isn't real. Your sky daddy is one big up in your imagination. There's no hell. There's no lake of fire. There's no eternal damnation. Now, when I say that, and I agree with what Sister Toya said, doesn't mean I don't believe in a creator, a higher being. I don't believe in your sky daddy, in the sky wizard. And the stuff I see online with people, if you don't like this post, God's gonna be mad at you. So you think God is monitoring Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and waiting to condemn? You got your mind? You know, who do you think is making a list and checking it twice? No, that's Santa Claus. Do you believe in Santa Claus too? WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. WHGE 95.3 FM. Patrice Gibbs, your third eye optometrist here. All right. Imagine calling yourself the master race and have to resort to erasing the achievements of minorities or so-called minorities to make yourself feel better. Yeah. Because that's what y'all do. I can't believe this. The problem is that Americans thought it was okay to take a full-fledged criminal and make him president of the United States. And then they want to act aghast when he does criminal stuff. Let me tell you, we have a thug in charge of the United States. And if we don't wake up, we may not have a United States. That's a quote from Jasmine Crockett. Yeah, the last thing they want to see. How many times have I told you? Last thing they want to see, the last thing they want is an educated populace. Because if you're educated properly, okay, you're not fit to be a slave. That's why tyrants view educated citizens as their greatest enemies. Slaveholders stopped the enslaved from learning to read. Nazis burned books. Dictators censored media. That's why the Orange Disaster is attacking education, science, museums, and the arts to prevent people from learning. It's fascism 101. Make no mistake, the Orange Disaster's attack on the American mind, on education, science, libraries, and museums is an attack on the capacity of Americans for self-government. It's coming from the oligarchs of the techno state who believe democracy is inefficient and want to replace it with an authoritarian regime replete with technologies they control. B1, that's from Robert Wright. Oh, well, you know, we had to do what we were told. That's just the thing. We just had to do what we were told. We were following orders. That don't cut it. Never did. Seemed like a good time to remind everyone that I was only following orders was rejected as a defense at the Nuremberg trials. Yeah, okay? I'm moving right along. And this is from, actually, from when the Orange Disaster, during the Orange Disaster first term. And I bring it up because this fool came out and said, you know, we're going to annex Canada. It's a quote from Paul F. Hocker, Canadian. Here in Canada, many of us believe we are witnessing the fall of the U.S. empire. Would a civilized country limit health care or food assistance for the poor? Leave crops rotting in the fields? Destroy the educational system? Target women and attempt to eliminate their reproductive rights while refusing to help resulting babies? Abuse desperate immigrants? Pretend to believe, oh my God, pretend to believe in Christianity while perverting and debasing its tenets, and refuse to protect the earth from destruction. The world is watching. Here's something. Canada picked a guy with a PhD in economics from Oxford. Mexico chose a woman with a degree in physics and a PhD in energy engineering. Meanwhile, the U.S. handed the job to a carnival barking asshole, senior citizen, with poopy drawers and with multiple felonies and 6 bankruptcies under his belt. 80 million stupid-ass Americans. You know what? I didn't vote for Donald Trump because I believed him. I believed him when he said he'd slash Social Security and cut government aid. I believed him when he said he'd be a dictator on day one. I believed him when he mocked his own supporters behind closed doors. I believed him when he said the rich would get richer and everyone else would suffer. He said these things. You didn't believe me. Now you're watching your benefits disappear, your town fall apart, and your future crumble. Maybe next time you'll listen before it's too late. And so don't cry me a river and don't attempt to guilt trip me that I should be caring more. Because I believed it. The observers understand that he's sick. Trump's repeated comments about annexing Canada and his actions reveal a sociopathy that was described in detail in the 2017 book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump. It was 27 psychiatrists and mental health professionals who made it clear that Trump is a sociopath who poses a threat not just to the U.S., but to the entire world. Some of the assessments of Trump's personality in the book include the following. And mind you, these are assessments made by professionals who work in the area of mental health. Trump is impulsive, immature, incompetent, who went in the position of ultimate power, who would easily slide into the role of a tyrant. His sociopathic characteristics are undeniable and present a profound threat to democracy. He's a profoundly evil man, exhibiting malignant narcissism, and if left unchecked, his pathological narcissism could lead to World War III. You know, it's something. Let's see if I'm gonna go there. Yeah, let me go here first. Okay. Yep. Yeah, because what we're dealing with as a narcissistic idiot, a useful fool. Yeah, that's what those around him are doing. The puppet masters. Charles Pierce writes, in my life I have watched John Kennedy talk on television about missiles in Cuba. I saw Lyndon Johnson look Richard Russell squarely in the eye and say, we shall overcome. I saw Richard Nixon resign and Gerald Ford tell the Congress that our long national nightmare was over. I saw Jimmy Carter talk about malaise and Ronald Reagan talk about shining city on a hill. Ronald Reagan, man, he roasted hell, man, the devil sodomizing with a pitchfork. I saw George H.W. Bush deliver the eulogy for the Soviet bloc, and Bill Clinton comforted the survivors of Timothy McVeigh's madness in Oklahoma City. I saw George W. Bush struggle to make sense of it all on September the 11th. And I saw Barack Obama singing Amazing Grace in the Wounded Sanctuary of Mother Emanuel Church in Charleston, South Carolina. These were the presidents of my lifetime. These were not perfect men by any stretch of the imagination. They were not perfect presidents, that's for damn sure. Not one of them was that. But they approached the job, they took to the podium with all the gravitas they could muster as appropriate to the job. They tried at least to reach for something in the presidency that was beyond their grasp as ordinary human beings. They were not all ennobled by the attempt, but they tried nonetheless. And now comes this hopeless, vicious buffoon and the audience of equally hopeless, vicious buffoons who laugh and cheer when he made sport of a woman whose lasting memory of trauma she suffered is the laughter of the perpetrators. Now he comes, a man swathed in scandal with no interest beyond what he can put in his pocket, what he can put over on a universe of suckers. And he does something like this while occupying an office that we gave him, and while endowed with a public trust that he dishonors every day. The skying of a multi-generational criminal enterprise, the parameters of which we are only now beginning to comprehend, a vessel for all the worst elements of the American condition, and a cheap, soulless bully besides. We never have had such a cheap counterfeit of a president as currently occupies the office. We never have had a president so completely deserving of scorn, and yet so small in the office that it almost seems a waste of time and energy to summon up the requisite contempt. Watch how republic dies in empty eyes of an empty man who feels nothing but his own imaginary greatness, and who cannot finding himself the decency simply to shut up, even when it is in his best interest to do so. Presidents don't have to be heroes to be good presidents. They just have to realize that their humanity is our common humanity, and that the political commonwealth is our political commonwealth too. Watch him behind the seal of the President of the United States. Isn't he a funny man? Isn't what happened to that lady hilarious? Watch the assembled morons cheer. This is the only story now. Yeah. A wannabe tyrant. A wannabe king. Tell you about kings. Listen up. In 1649, King Charles I was tried for treason and other high crimes. The monarch responded with the maxim, the king can do no wrong, and therefore he could not be tried or convicted. They beheaded his ass. Y'all get it? WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Hey, Vaughn, I see you, bro. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's get to this. Down here. All right. WHGE 95.3 FM. All right. I know by now you all heard what these idiots have done. Yeah, I said idiots. I ain't no respect for these fools. You kidding me? Yeah, I swear. Oh, y'all worried about DEI, huh? The DEI hire and 4-star general Lloyd Austin ever accidentally leaked top secret military operations to a reporter on a Signal app? Is that the kind of astounding incompetence reserved for the merit-based hire of white men? So you mean the president, the vice president, and the cabinet? Oh, and an accidentally added reporter were discussing war and other national security matters over Signal? The same app that married men use to cheat on their wives? I'm just saying. Let me get this straight. Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence, was in the text thread that got leaked. On March 14th at 8:32 a.m., she independently came out with a statement. Any unauthorized release of classified information is a violation of the law and will be treated as such. Then Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, see, like you said, don't hire on skin color, hire on merit. Up. Pete Hegseth, a drunk, a moron. Tulsi knows they messed up. Everybody know they messed up. They have violated the law and should be held accountable right now. Yeah. Everybody was worried about Pete Hegseth. He's a former Fox News contributor with a well-documented love for the sauce. And he's in the Department of Defense. Well, he confirmed why we all should be terrified of making one of the biggest public blunders we ever seen in national security. On March 15th, the United States planned to bomb the Houthis in Yemen. This was supposed to be a covert operation, meaning that people planning this attack wanted to surprise their targets. Well, they surprised the Houthis, but they embarrassed America along the way. A group chat about the attack was created for American senior security officials on Signal, a decentralized encrypted messaging app. Somehow, Mike Waltz, the National Security Advisor of the United States, invited Jeffrey Goldberg, an editor at The Atlantic, to join in the discussion that included Hegseth, Tulsi Gabbard, the Director of National Intelligence. She has turned it into the Director of Damn Foolishness. Right? And this would be funny if it wasn't so bad. You got to remember, Republicans suggested that Obama purposely leaked classified information in 2012. Oh, they were so outraged over this possible security breach. He leaked it to a reporter, and a reporter that they don't even like. That's the real crazy part. And now they're trying to say, oh, he might have hacked his way in. No, he didn't. No, he didn't, with your dumb ass. No, he didn't. Y'all did that mess. All of y'all, up to and including J.D. Vance, who was in on that crap too. All a bunch of idiots. Yeah, all of you need to be locked up, charged with treason and violating our security. Could got people killed. That's why so many vets are pissed about this. You got people killed. That's what was it? They had the thing that you use to get in. I can't think of the name of it. The code. The code. You had to punch in the code to get in. And Hegseth has the code. Half drunk, sending it out to people. Damn. WHGE 95.3 FM. Keep your eye open. Damn. Patrice Gibbs here, your third eye optometrist. All right. Let's see who I get this from. I get this from Mr. Krim. I think so. Black men in higher education. Oh, that's where I got it from. Black men in higher education's post. Okay. The Ohio House just passed SB 1. It forbids colleges from teaching historical events like slavery or the Holocaust. Definitely did happen. It mandates that students reach their own conclusions about all controversial events. Kind of mess is that? They say Nazis should be taught from both sides, as if there was a good side to Nazism, to fascism. That's just insane, and that's fascist. The bill also prohibits universities from taking positions on a controversial belief or policy. They define climate policies, politics, foreign policy, DEI programs, immigration policy, marriage, abortion, or any belief or policy that is the subject of political controversy. So they don't want you to know the difference between right and wrong and choose a side. Because if you're on the wrong side, you're just wrong. And of course, it don't stop there. All right? Because the armed disaster is now demanding that the Smithsonian toe the line and do its part to whitewash America's past. or lose funding. Okay? Lawrence Disaster has claimed to have saved free speech. And he's issued an executive order empowering Junior Vice President J.D. Vance to eliminate improper, divisive, and anti-American ideology from the 21 museums and learning centers operated by the Smithsonian Institution, including the National Zoo. So, I guess you can't call African elephants and African lions African anymore, huh? At the National Zoo. They're American lions now. Vance, who currently serves on the Smithsonian Institute's Board of Regents, will coordinate with the White House Budget Office to ensure future funding isn't spent on programs that degrade shared American values or divide Americans based on race or promote programs or ideologies inconsistent with federal law and policy. Degrade American values? Like grabbing by the pee? That's your values? Steal people's money? The order would have a chilling effect on programs or exhibits that chronicle shameful chapters in American history, such as slavery or Jim Crow laws. I saw this sister on video, and I was talking about helping her children with their homework. So it was a job that her husband usually did while she cleaned up the kitchen after dinner. That this day she wasn't feeling too sweet, so they switched roles. He cleaned up the kitchen, and she went over the children's homework. And one of the things that came up was that in her child's history class, the book clearly stated that Africans had no history that we know of. They may have been servants or slaves. And that was it. And that was it. Yeah. And she was quite upset about that, and she should have been. Because we have a glorious history that they want to whitewash. We may have been servants. And the crazy thing is, she teaches her children at home, and they go to school, and they write something that was different than was in the book. It's marked wrong. And they're given a bad grade for not agreeing to the indoctrination. I remember when I was in 8th grade in my social studies class. And this teacher sent me home for having the nerve to debate him about Columbus. And he was black. This is how you get your mind all screwed up. So now I guess they want to just shut down the Smithsonian because, I mean, there's so much of our history that you just can't ignore. Now, I'm not just talking about Dr. King and Malcolm X and Harriet Tubman and Rosa Parks. I'm talking about badasses like Joseph Smalls. Look him up. I'm talking about how the Moors, how the Africans educated Europe 2 or 3 times, and they still ain't get it. I know damn well you don't want that told. How the Africans taught you to clean yourself up. They have no history that is known. Are you kidding me? Tell you what, you tune into the Open Eye, you already know. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Yeah, we are. Let's keep it moving. Yeah. A couple of months ago, I mentioned to you interview J.D. Vance, junior vice president, no punk ass coward. How he had to work when he was a kid. He had to pick berries and work in fast food or some crap. Now the Florida MAGAs done scared so many immigrant farm workers away that now they're so desperate for workers, they want kids to work overnight on school nights. Let that sink in. If you know anything about American history, you know this was one of the worst places for child labor, that they had to institute child labor laws. Now Florida, under the Grand Wizard of the Republic of Florida, the Banana Republic of Florida, he wants Florida to consider rolling back child labor laws to fill jobs vacated by undocumented immigrants. A Florida Senate panel has advanced a bill further easing child labor laws, allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to work unlimited hours and removing restrictions for 14 and 15-year-olds. Supporters argue it aligns with federal laws. No, it don't. And promotes parental rights. No, it don't. While critics warn it could lead to child exploitation, sleep deprivation, and academic decline. Since busing, our children are already dealing with sleep deprivation and academic decline. Kids got to be out on the bus stop 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. I ain't had to be to school till 9, and I didn't leave home till 8:45. After I watched my cartoons and ate some breakfast. And now they want to eliminate working time restrictions. 14-year-olds can work overnight. Teens can work overnight on school nights. And they want to end guaranteed meal breaks for ages 16 and 17. I get damn if you're hungry, get that work done. These are the idiots that we're dealing with. This is the oligarchy that we're dealing with. You enslave your children. Yeah. Yeah. That's what these corporate, especially these corporate farms. Y'all should have thought about that. November the 5th. Go to hell. WHGE 95.3 FM. Open eye. Hey, Bab, I see you. All right. WHGE 95.3 FM. You know, it's something that whenever we do get together and protest something, they think pro-black movements are anti-white because pro-white movements have always been anti-black. Yeah. Let me tell you something. Yeah, I'm just going to go here with this right here. Sit your black ass down. April 5th, supposed to be a big protest nationwide. I've been seeing videos on different social media platforms, like showing people getting the news that this big march, this big protest is coming up April the 5th. And you see these black people jump up and get their coat and hat and get their stuff together to get ready to get out here and protest. Sit your black ass down. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The last time martial law was declared was in 1963 during the height of the civil rights movement. Because that's what they want to do. So they're having this big march. And people are like, yeah, black people got to get out here with us. No. They're trying to amp you up to get you out here so they can do that. Banning DEI, firing key government personnel, and trying to erase the legacy of important figures like Jackie Robinson. Yeah. And Medgar Evers. Want to whitewash the Smithsonian Institute. Sit your black ass down. That's word. Nope. Don't do it. That's what they want. So they can declare martial law and knock us in the head, lock us up, and even start building more prisons because they think they're going to get us. Because remember, slavery is illegal except if duly convicted by a crime. Yeah, that's right. And you think these corporations give a damn? Oh, no. Because corporations are not concerned with the common good. They exploit, pollute, impoverish, repress, kill, and lie to make money. They throw poor people out of homes, let the uninsured die, wage useless wars for profit, poison and pollute the ecosystem, slash social assistance programs, gut public education, trash the global economy, plunder the U.S. Treasury, and crush all popular movements that seek justice for working men and women because they worship money and power. And on April 5th, they're going to get out there and they're going to march against that stuff. Sit your black ass down. Everyone asking, where are black people? Why aren't you protesting? Let us be clear. We are taking a step back and protecting our peace. For generations, we have been on the front line, marching, fighting, organizing, demanding justice, often at the cost of our well-being. Time and time again, we have poured our energy, our voices, and even our lives in the movement for change. And yet, we have seen others benefit from our labor while we are left to pick up the pieces, exhausted and unheard. We're minding our own business. That's right, Sister Sherry. This time we are choosing differently. We are prioritizing our mental, emotional, and physical health. We are creating space for healing, reflection, and rest. We are not obligated to explain a goddamn thing, justify or prove our pain. Our decision to step back does not mean we don't care. It means we refuse to continue being the only ones carrying this burden. If justice matters to you, you will take to the streets. If change is needed, you will speak up. We have done more than our share. Now we are protecting our peace. We showed up at the polls and you failed the open book test. Now leave us alone. We are minding our own business. It's from historian Mr. Krim. Yeah. Sit your black ass down. Okay. So now he's making segregation legal. And you said they got tricked That's what y'all said. I mean, some of these people, they voted on the economy. You were tricked. And most people got tricked. Okay, stop. Stop right there. As I heard his sister say this. The gaslighting's over. And done. And no, you do not get passed. No, you do not get the claim that anyone was tricked. In this day and age, all this information at the palm of your hand available. No one voted for Trump without knowing who he was. And they were okay with him being against my minorities, so-called minorities, black people. They were okay with his sexual assault allegations. They're okay with him being a racist. They're okay with him being a felon. Okay. They were okay with it. It wasn't a problem for them. So you don't get a pass. None of them get a pass. Whatever side of history you stood on, that's where you're going to stay. And you support a racist because you are a goddamn racist. The concept of segregation, it wasn't built on y'all figured out over there. It wasn't built on y'all figure it out over there and we're going to figure it out over here. It wasn't separate but equal. It was never separate but equal. There was no benevolence in this country towards black people. All right? I forget the sister's name that kicked this, but she kicked it to him. All right? And this is something interesting that she said. I gotta find the sister's name because she ain't hold back. There's so much animus that we're seeing a war on white people. Because the white people in the Republican MAGA party had decided that any additional progress for people who are not white, and in particular, black people, is so intolerable to them that they're willing to sell down all the other white people right along with black people, that they're stripping civil rights protections, that they're stripping research from, okay, in the name of equity. All right. No more, they're pulling back. No more research for Alzheimer's. You ain't gonna have no research for cancer. That's right. How can you, in the environment, to see not just the lack of white benevolence, but the white animus and the white nationalists aim to dismantle everything outside of what supports white billionaires and even pontificate about where the segregation was actually a good thing? Hell no, it wasn't a good thing, and it never ever will be. Okay? Because they don't want, like I told you that last week, they don't want segregation, they want apartheid, where we had access to nothing. They want segregation. No, you know what they want Jim Crow, where we had no rights. They want Jim Crow. You know, during Jim Crow, a white man could walk up in your house and take your food or your radio because they felt as though you didn't deserve that. See, that's why you get all those crazy Karens running around trying to check black people. I bet they don't segregate sports or music or anything they can profit from. Like I said, they don't want segregation. They want Jim Crow. They don't want separate but equal, because they know that they are not superior. If anything, they're inferior. Remember Jimmy DeGree said black people were bred to be bigger and stronger on the plantations? Guess what? It worked. We bigger, stronger, and smarter. And in honor of segregation, we black men will no longer share our DNA to other races. No more mixed babies. All black men belong to black women now. Blacks only. Blackity, blackity, black is black, and I'm black, y'all. WHGE 95.3 FM. Yeah. Patrice Gibbs here, your third eye optometrist. Yeah, we bringing it around. Mm-hmm. This is from Ernest Krim. Y'all check this brother out. Look him up. Ernest, Mr. Krim 3. He's usually he's on Instagram. I think he's on Instagram. All right. And what he relates to us is black skin is a badge of honor. Many times have I told you that. Your blackness is a blessing and an honor. When African people ruled the earth thousands of years ago, black skin was a badge of honor. The color black was associated with God and various aspects of divinity. Aser, the resurrected God king of ancient Kemet, was referred to as Lord of the perfect black. And black soil from which he was resurrected was divine. The word melanin is derived from the Greek word melons, which means black. Melons is derived from the words from the words meaning black and which is derived from a similar word, anime, which refers to Amen or Amen, which are ancient words for the Creator. And that actually comes from Anthony Browder. Thank you, Mr. Krim, for that. I'll tell you something else. There's a lot of people really don't understand this. And that's the 3/5 compromise. Most of us do not understand or know the reason why blacks were only counted as 3/5 of a white person. When the Constitution was being framed, it was agreed by the framers that seats in Congress would be appropriated based on population. The southern slave states wanted to count their slaves as part of their population. It's called taxation without representation. The northern states opposed this as it would give southern states too much of an advantage in Congress. So the 3/5 compromise was reached, allowing that each black slave would be counted as 3/5 of a white man. This was done for the allocation of congressional seats only. This does not mean that the framers of the Constitution recognized 3/5 of the black man's humanity. Neither southern whites nor northern whites recognized the humanity of black people at all. Not 3/5, not 1/4, not 1 iota. The whites of America did not recognize the humanity of black people one bit when the Constitution was framed, and they still don't. Whether you were walking while black or shopping while black or in distress while black, there are those who will not recognize your humanity but will criminalize your blackness. And this can cost you your life. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. All right. Winding down, not winding down, we're coming to the close here. And I can usually tell you, I hope you learned something, because I learned something before I came in here. Yes, sir. Hold your head up. And remember that we're resilient people. We've been here. We can handle this. And don't get yourself caught up out there with people that only want to use you and only want to cry, only want to sing kumbaya when it's beneficial for them. And be careful of those people that tan well. They want to cry brotherhood only when it's beneficial for them. Last word. Don't do it. Destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. I'm Patrice Gibbs. This has been Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM, Thanks for joining us.
All right. And like I always tell you, global African supremacy. Pay attention to Africa. Pay attention. That's where, because the world was a much better place when the African, I'm Patrice Gibbs.